Hi, this is JR. I'm the Expat in Saigon. Today we're going to do part 2 of money and banking in Vietnam. We already did part 1 and it was about tourists and what they need when they get to Vietnam. Part 2 is about workers, people earning salaries in Vietnam, and what they need to know about the banking system here. I'm here at Saigon Star Coffee today with my friend Jeff.
This is a pretty nice place. It's quite nice. I've never been here before.
Yeah, it's really nice. Shot my first one over here of this series. He just signed a new contract here in Vietnam, so we can find out from him exactly what the ins and outs are of the money and banking system here in Saigon. Hey Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about your new contract and how that has affected your banking situation?
Actually, my contract for me hasn't affected my banking at all. To be honest with you, my bank is more interested in the temporary residence card. They're not so interested in the contract. Some banks apparently are.
Yeah, that kind of proves my theory that the rules are really inconsistent here.
A friend of mine, a former student who works at one of the banks, she says there's actually different rules for different banks. It depends on the ownership of the bank. Some of the banks are fully controlled by government. They follow the letter of the law. Some are part owned by government and part private, and so they're a little bit more looser. And some are fully independent, and basically they get audited, but that's probably, occasionally.
When I was making part 1 of this video, I went to several of the banks to find out exactly what their rules were, and basically they couldn't tell me. I also sent, I think it was 6 questionnaires out with questions about the banking situation, and every one of the ones returned to me with a message to visit my local branch. So it looks like to me that even though there's rules, that the local branches seem to be the ones that enforce those rules. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. I said in my first video that there's a lot of idiosyncrasies in banking here, and I think maybe we have some idiosyncrasies too. So can you give us some of your experiences with the banks here?
Well, one of the banks that I visited, they wanted to control how much I deposited into the account. They wanted to base it on the contract. So if I was contracted to earn so much a month, then I wasn't allowed to deposit any more than that in a month.
Wow, that's kind of odd.
Yeah, if you do a bit of freelance, that means you can't do your banking.
So what do you do with your freelance money that you're not supposed to have?
Well, I have a prepaid credit card.
Ah, okay. Well, some of the things that seem to be consistent at all the banks is that you can open a dollar account and that you can open a dong account. You can deposit your earnings from your salary into your dong account. You can also wire money from your home country to your dollar account, or some banks have euro accounts also. But that account's pretty restricted. It doesn't pay interest, and you're pretty limited on what you can do with it. A lot of times you can't even withdraw currency from it. So you have to convert it to dong before you can withdraw from that account. One of the main considerations is that if you don't have a temporary resident card, you're not going to open an account. Pretty much that's a requirement here now. When I came the first time a number of years ago, I opened 2 accounts, a dollar and a dong account, plus got my prepaid Visa card. And I was only here on a 90-day visa, but I think in most banks now that's no longer available. I think you have to be here at least for a year and be on a business visa or in a working situation. One of the difficult things is after you've earned the money here is getting the money out of the country if you need to. If you plan to stay here, of course, that's not a problem because you can have a debit card on your bank account. But if you're going to leave the country, you have a problem sending your balances home. If you're working here with permissions, you can wire your money out. But if you try to use Western Union or any other money transfer services, they're one way. They're incoming only. I found, and I think Jeff found, I'll have him tell you about his experience with the prepaid cards, but we found that the prepaid debit cards are the best way to move money around and use money outside of Vietnam. It doesn't require any permissions, and you just take the Visa or MasterCard with you. So from the standpoint of having your cash available, the prepaid debit cards are really great. Jeff, could you tell us a little bit about how you handle sending money home to your wife, Yali?
Well, you know, that can be a problem. Thank goodness for these prepaid Visa cards or MasterCard. It's easy. All you do is you get a card and you get an extra card, give it to the person that you want to send the money to. They take it back with them. Like Yali, she took it back with her to the Philippines, and now I just deposit money in there. She just goes to an ATM and she draws it out there. Of course, you have to abide by whatever exchange rates the credit card company applies. It may not be the best, but it works.
Yeah, I found generally Visa and MasterCard, the exchange rates aren't too bad.
Yeah, and in the Philippines, the ATM charges 250 pesos for each withdrawal.
Yeah,
It's a little bit pricey.
I talked about that in our first series, part of the series here, that the rates for withdrawing money in the Philippines were really high compared to here where it's like $1.50.
Well, and the funny part is it doesn't matter. Like you can take anywhere from 500 pesos to 10,000 pesos out at a time. The fee is still the same amount.
Really the most difficult thing about banking here is being able to get your money out of the country when you need to travel or when you need to send money home. Don't you think so, Jeff?
Right.
And with the prepaid debit cards, we pretty much solved that problem.
Most. Some prepaid credit cards do not work that way.
Oh, not good. So there are some that are limited.
Yes. For instance, when I was at Nama Bank, that only worked in the country.
That's Name or
Name Bank.
Name Bank. Yeah, I haven't had any problem with my ACB cards, and I used to have a Vietcom Bank card, and it was good anywhere.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, can you think of anything else that people might need to know before trying to do their banking here?
Just remember that banks are closed for an hour and a half in the middle of the day.
That's right. They have siesta time.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that about does it for this part 2. And part 3, we're going to talk about retirees here. And I hope that you'll watch that one too. Hey, I want to thank you all for watching. This is JR, the Expat in Saigon. Please like and subscribe if you like this video.
I like.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. I need all the support I can get.